This is Mission Control Houston. Good morning. Today is September 4th, 2019. You're getting an inside look live at the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Teams here are just starting the Orbit 2 shift for today. That's the second of three 24-hour shifts that monitor the International Space Station 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Teams here are overseeing the systems aboard the International Space Station as it makes its way over the border of the United States on a southeastern track towards the east coast of North Carolina, where Hurricane Dorian will soon be visible from some of the external high-definition cameras aboard the International Space Station. As the space station orbits 17,500 miles per hour, we get some good views of Hurricane Dorian for the past several days. And we've been following along the hurricane's track as it makes its way northward up the Atlantic, just off the coast of some of the southeastern states of the United States. As of now, the latest update we have from the National Hurricane Center is at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. At that time, Hurricane Dorian was identified, the eye of which was identified 90 miles east-northeast of Daytona Beach and 135 miles east-southeast of Jacksonville, Florida. Getting some good views from the International Space Station. We should be able to sustain these views throughout the duration of our broadcast. We're looking at just about an 11-minute pass coming up here as the station orbits 262 miles over the northern United States now. We're expected to see the Hurricane Dorian, just the outside of it, along the horizon, in just about a minute or so, and sustain that view for about 11 minutes total. Hurricane Dorian, at the time of the National Hurricane Center update, just less than an hour ago, is identified as a Category 2 with maximum sustained winds at 105 miles per hour, again, just off the coast of Florida, moving northward. Specifically moving northwest at 8 miles per hour. The storm itself from yesterday's update has decreased in strength, but has become a wider storm, so it's still very dangerous, and there are still hurricane warnings and storm surge warnings for a lot of the southeastern states. Predictions now estimate that it could make landfall in the next day or so with the Carolinas, or it could move northward and follow the Atlantic coast outward and start affecting Virginia and the Chesapeake Bay before it heads out east towards the Atlantic Ocean. Again, these updates from 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central from the National Hurricane Center. Some clouds coming into view of the horizon of the Earth as the International Space Station flies 262 statute miles over the southern border of Minnesota on a southeasterly track, traveling 17,500 miles per hour. Again, we've been providing some live views from some of these external high-definition cameras on the outside of the International Space Station. Astronauts inside have also been sharing their view from the cupola window, the 7-window bay window that's on the Earth-facing side of the International Space Station, providing their views from their Twitter accounts. Follow Andrew Morgan, Nick Hague, and Christina Cook aboard the International Space Station, sharing their views. Now, as the International Space Station flying 262 statute miles over the southern border of Wisconsin, Hurricane Dorian becoming very clear in the horizon there. Again, we're looking at an 11-minute pass here. Again, the latest update from the National Hurricane Center puts the eye of the storm 90 miles east-northeast of Daytona Beach, 135 miles east-southeast of Jacksonville, Florida. Now a Category 2 storm, and will affect much of the southeastern United States, including Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. The center of the storm becoming very clear. Again, that center just off the coast of Florida, the International Space Station itself, from this view, 262 statute miles over the southern border of Ohio. The track of the International Space Station will put our pass just north and slightly east of the storm itself, north from this view. Hurricane Dorian again over the weekend made landfall with the Bahamas as a Category 5 hurricane and moved slowly across the Grand Bahama Island on a western track. It decreased in strength to a Category 2 by the time it started affecting the Florida coast, but again, you can see it's a much wider storm now, so those effects are still very dangerous. The eye of the storm clear from this view, the International Space Station 261 statute miles over the northern border of North Carolina. Again, that center of the storm just 90 miles east-northeast of Daytona Beach. The central pressure of the storm that you can see at the center there was last recorded just under an hour ago as 964 millibars as minimum central pressure, and the maximum sustained winds were 105 miles per hour. We're on the north side of the storm now, just off the east coast of North Carolina. Again, Hurricane Dorian still expected to affect much of the southeastern coast of the United States over the next few days. Some recent predictions also mention it may affect the coast of Virginia as well as the Chesapeake Bay. Again, coming in the next few days. Space station's track currently about northeast of the storm, over the Atlantic Ocean, 261 statute miles. The track of the space station will continue to follow over the Atlantic Ocean east of much of the Caribbean islands. Now passing almost directly east of the storm, again over the Atlantic Ocean. That center of the storm, 135 miles southeast of Jacksonville, Florida, 90 miles east-northeast of Daytona Beach. Traveling slowly up the Atlantic Ocean northward, affecting some of those southeastern states of the United States, including Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. It's only traveling at 8 miles per hour on a north-northwest track. Now getting a view from the southeastern side of the storm, some of the islands of the Bahamas coming into view at the right of your screen. Again, Hurricane Dorian made landfall with the Bahamas over the weekend. As we start to lose sight of the storm, the width of the storm itself taking up much of the horizon. Again, Dorian affecting some of the Florida coast and expected to move up the north, affecting some of the southeastern states of the United States. Little effect to Cocoa Beach, but again, predictions could put landfall of the hurricane at the Carolinas. Space station itself traveling on a southeastern course, 261 statute miles, just east off the coast of Puerto Rico at this point. Hurricane Dorian disappearing over the horizon at this point. Some of the Caribbean islands to the right of your screen, west of the track of the International Space Station that continues to fly 17,500 miles per hour on a southeastern course. You can see some of the views from the International Space Station over the past few days on our social media channels and websites. The YouTube channel NASA Video has some files from the past few days. You could download some high-resolution imagery from the space station at images.nasa.gov as well as archive.org. And again, the astronauts on board the International Space Station will be sharing views. Andrew Morgan, Nick Hague, and Christina Cook aboard now. Follow them on Twitter to see some of their views. We'll have a few more good passes over these next few days and provide live coverage of those. Tomorrow, Thursday, September 5th, the pass at this time has identified at 7:59 a.m. Central Time, 8:59 a.m. Eastern. It should be another 11-minute pass. And slightly earlier on Friday, September 6th, we have a pass at 7:10 a.m. Central Time, 8:10 a.m. Eastern. Another 11-minute pass. Again, stay tuned for some more updates about the hurricane and its course at the National Hurricane Center. Go to hurricanes.gov, that's hurricanes plural. Stay tuned on your local channels and prepare for the hurricane and plan accordingly. Look for advice given by local emergency officials. We'll continue to provide views as we've identified those passes over the next few days. Stay safe along the southeastern coast of the United States. Until then, this is Mission Control Houston.